Today I'm going to be doing Neve's 1 month updates. She was born on July 24th, 2020, and today it is September 7th, 2020. So she technically turned a month old a little over a week ago. I wanted to wait to do this video after we had her 1 month doctor's appointment so that way I could talk about like all of her stats, like her weight and head size and length and all that good stuff. Okay, so when Neve was born, she was 7 pounds 6 ounces. At 24 hours old, she had dropped down to 7 pounds 2 ounces. And then at her weight check when she was 3 days old, she was back up to 7 pounds 3 ounces. At 10 days old, when she was weighed for her last weight check with the doctor, she was 7 pounds 13 ounces. So she had more than surpassed her birth weight by 10 days old. It made me feel good knowing that she was obviously drinking enough milk and growing really well. At the 1 month mark, she didn't have her doctor's appointment like the day that she turned 1 month old, but I went ahead and weighed her at home just so that I could see like where she was on that day. And she had hit the 10 pound mark by 1 month old. And then at her actual 1 month appointment at the doctor, she was 10 pounds 5 ounces. And that was when she was 1 month and 9 days old. So she's gaining weight really well. She's 75th percentile for her weight and for her head circumference, and then 50th percentile for her length. In terms of her eating habits, so her first like 2 days or 3 days of life, we supplemented a little bit with formula, and I mean like a very little bit. She would get like maybe an ounce once or twice a day maximum. She came out like with a really strong suck and wanting to like nurse all the time nonstop, so my boobs got kind of damaged a little bit and hurt really bad those first few days of breastfeeding. Her latch was really good. The lactation consultant looked at it and said that it looked perfect. It was just that my boobs had to toughen up a little bit again because it had been a while since I had breastfed. I would say that by the time she was 3 days old or 4 days old, my boobs were almost pretty much back to normal, or starting to feel a lot better by that point, and we could just kind of ditch the formula altogether, and we've been exclusively breastfeeding ever since, and it's going really well. I would say that my milk supply has been more abundant with this baby than it has with any of my other kiddos. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that's because this is my first baby that we haven't really used a pacifier at all with. If she doesn't seem to need it, we're just not offering it because our other 2 kids are like super obsessed with pacifiers, and we don't want to encourage it if we don't have to. Obviously, if she like really wanted it or needed it, we give it to her, but we're not just like trying to shove it in her mouth every chance that we get. So because she's not using a pacifier, literally anytime she fusses, I'm just putting her on the boob to try to nurse. Back to the baby. So when Neve was about 3 weeks old, we both developed some thrush, which was really uncomfortable and awful for me. It didn't seem to bother her that much. I never really saw anything in her mouth, but she got like a really bad yeast infection on her bottom. And then I was having like the symptoms in my boobs, the incredibly painful letdowns and just deep stabbing burning pains in both of my boobs throughout the day. It was pretty miserable. So my doctor prescribed me with a 2-week prescription for fluconazole, and Neve's pediatrician prescribed her with oral nystatin that you just like put on a Q-tip or on your finger and rub it in her mouth 4 times a day for almost a week. Both of our treatments did seem to help, but I kind of feel like on and off over the last few weeks I still keep getting random symptoms of thrush. Like it'll just randomly feel like I still have thrush, but it's not constant and it doesn't seem to be affecting Neve at all, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm just kind of ignoring it. It's my first time ever dealing with thrush. I never had that issue with my other kids. And with Milo, breastfeeding was just so seamless. There was never any pain in the beginning with him, no thrush, no nothing. So in terms of eating habits, I would say that she's basically been on like the same eating schedule ever since she was born, which is every 2 to 3 hours she wants to eat roughly. I just feed her on demand. I don't like, I don't have a certain schedule for feeding that I follow. I just kind of follow her and what she wants. Occasionally it'll be like every hour, every now and then she'll have a 4-hour stretch at night, but that's not very often. Usually, even at night, she'll want to nurse every 2 to 3 hours. When she was like 2 weeks old, I started to notice a small little dot on the side of her eye. It's on the side of her right eye. It just slowly started getting like a little bit bigger and a little bit darker, and my Neve's pediatrician looked at it at her 1-month appointment and said that it's a hemangioma, an infantile hemangioma, which they're fairly common, and that they continue to grow rapidly for like the first 6 months of the baby's life, and then they typically tend to start going away slowly as the child reaches toddlerhood. So she wasn't too concerned about it. She did say to keep an eye on it, because if it did start to grow bigger down into her eyelid or start impeding her eyesight, they would have to do like a medical procedure to shrink it, which that wasn't even on my radar going into the appointment. I just thought that it was a small hemangioma and that was that. Like, I just thought it was like a birthmark, but I didn't know that it was gonna grow super rapidly for the first 6 months, and I didn't know that it may not go away until she's 2 or older, and I also didn't know that it had the possibility of impeding her eyesight. So fingers crossed and none of that happens. I hope it stays the size that it is now and doesn't grow too much bigger, because I wish it could have just been anywhere else on her body, but it's on her face and it's close to her eye. So we just have to watch it, and that's really all we can do, I guess. But it's really small for now. It doesn't bother her. It's not dangerous. Milestones in her first month. She smiled socially for the first time on August 16th. So it was like a week before she turned a month old. She had her first social smile for my mom. And then the week that it was like towards the end of her 5th week, before her 6th week started, that it's like the floodgates opened and she just started smiling socially all the time. Like whenever I would talk to her in like that high-pitched mommy voice, she just like breaks out into the biggest smile and coos at me, and it's the sweetest thing. So her personality just like seems to have exploded in her 5th and 6th week. I love it. It's honestly been the best. She's so sweet. So at night, she's sleeping with us in our room. Obviously not in our bed. We have a mini crib in our room. So she's sleeping in a crib in our room and waking up to nurse every 2 to 3 hours. Every once in a while, like I think it's happened maybe 3 times total, she has slept a 4-hour stretch, which has been amazing for me. I love when that happens, but it's not happening consistently. I know at some point, like in the next couple of months, she will start doing those 4-hour stretches, 4 to 6 hour stretches at night. But for now, she's still up every 2 to 3 hours. In terms of like her temperament and fussiness and whatnot, I would say that she has been a really calm, really chill baby. She's not very fussy at all. She does have like a witching period every night from, I'd say 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. where she definitely cries a lot more. She'll cry more in those 2 hours than she cries all day long. And usually during that time, I just have to like hold her nonstop and keep trying to nurse her, keep trying to burp her, and then eventually she'll just settle down and go to sleep for her first stretch of sleep of the night. She's a very easy baby. Overall, very easy. She was super fussy when she was getting medicated for thrush. Like I said, around 3 weeks, like she had a really fussy period. And then now she has her witching periods in the evenings. And other than that, she's a very sweet, very happy baby. In terms of 1 month postpartum update for me, with this pregnancy, I gained 23 pounds, I think. Yeah, 23 pounds. And by the end of the first week postpartum, I had lost 16 pounds. By the end of the second week postpartum, I had lost the rest of it. The other 7 pounds that I still had remaining was pretty much gone by the end of the second week. But yeah, I've always lost weight really quickly postpartum with each of my babies. I think that most of my weight gain is obviously like baby, placenta, uterus, I tend to retain more fluids when I'm pregnant, and that's like a lot of my weight gain. So in the weeks following childbirth, all of that water weight just kind of like falls off of me. So I will be right back. I think Neve is waking up. Hold on, I can show her to you guys. Here's Neve, girl. Another thing is that she lost a lot of hair on top of her head pretty quickly after birth. So she looks like a little balding old man. But it's already starting to grow back. There's like little dark fuzzies all over the front of her head, which is really hard to see on camera. She still just looks like a little baldy on camera. The matter. But it is growing back, thank goodness. She won't be bald forever. Since all of her hair was falling out on top, I was wondering if it would come back lighter colored, because that happens to a lot of babies, but I don't know if you can tell, but her little fuzzies are definitely coming in dark. Oh, there's her little hemangioma. But yeah, this right here is my life, basically. She's always nursing. So one thing that we have been struggling with sometimes is that I have a really overactive letdown, which is really strong, and she tends to gulp a lot of air while she's nursing, which I do. She's pooping. I do try to pull her off like when I have a letdown, so that way she's not gulping in too much air, but sometimes she still gulps too much air and then tends to get gassy. I don't know if I ever mentioned this. Her name, her middle name is Mariah, which is my mom's first name, so she's named after my mom. I did spell the ending differently. My mom's name ends in L-E-E, and Neve's middle name ends in I-L-Y. That alternate ending is for a good friend of mine named Emily, who passed away when I was in college. And Neve, I don't really know. I've always liked the name Neve, or there's like an Irish name, Neve, which is N-I-A-M-H, which I've always loved that name and that spelling. I know that if I used Neve, I would want to keep it true to the Irish spelling. I wouldn't want to Americanize it at all, so that's why I didn't use Neve. Neve to me is a completely different name. It's, you know, a different pronunciation, it's a different spelling. It's not Neve, it's not N-I-A-M-H. So it kind of has a nod towards one of my aunts who passed away of cancer. Her name was Beverly, she went by Bev. And so our pronunciation of Neve is kind of a nod towards Aunt Bev, and then honors my mom, because my mom is Mariah. So that's where her name came about, Neve Mariah. I really love it. I never thought that I would be able to find a name that I loved more than Wren, but I do love Neve Mariah a lot. I think it's really pretty. I should probably go rock her and try to get her back to sleep, but that is it for her 1 month update. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribing. You guys are awesome. Please hit that subscribe button and follow along. We would love to have you.